Okay. Today we'll talk about the mitzvah of Tzitzit. It's the final section of our parsha. And you see a picture here of a tallis, but in the Torah it's called Tzitzit. And we're going to see a distinction between Tzitzit and tallit. Well, first, let's read the verses. We're familiar with them because it's the third paragraph of the Shema, which we say morning and evening every day. And in shul, we actually chant this out loud. ויאמר אדוני משה לאמור דבר בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית, etc. And so here you see the Hebrew. The word tzitzit appears 3 times. Tzitzit, ועשו להם ציצית, ונתנו על ציצית, והיה לכם לציצית. And the actual word means fringes. But let's go straight to the English. And we have a volunteer to read the English.
Okay, God said to Moses as follows, speak to the Israelite people and instruct them to make for themselves fringes on the corners of their garments for all generations. Let them attach a cord of blue to the fringe at each corner. That shall be your fringe. Look at it and recall the commandments of God and observe them so that you do not follow your heart and eyes in your lustful urge. You will thus remember and keep all my commandments and be holy to your God. I am your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. The screen is blocked.
To be your God,
Be
I
your
am
God.
your God. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So we're not going to talk about the tallit because we have an expert here about tallit. My mother is an expert on it. You know, just like you don't talk about physics when Stephen Hawking is in the room. So I don't feel competent to talk about this idea of it's not really blue. And Mother, do you want to chime in just a little bit? Is my mother here? What?
May I say briefly that my grandson's a girlfriend's name is tallit also, so I'm also an expert.
Yeah, so it's light blue in Hebrew, right?
Your mother is muted.
Oh, Mother, you're muted.
Right, the word blue does not appear in the Torah. Only tallit appears. The word blue, kachol, that we use today for blue does not appear. Only tallit, and according to the oral law, it's like the sky and the sea, which we know changes color, but we have the approximate idea.
Yeah, and the way it's extracted, we once went to the beach to try to. It's extracted from
Chilazon,
right? Chilazon from
the murex, murex snail.
Yeah, my mother wrote a chapter about it in her book. So, and I refer you. It's interesting chapter. A lot of science involved in history. It's almost like a mystery, a thriller. What does that tallit color exactly look like? But I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about more the fundamental concept of why wear tzitzit. If we look at this paragraph, look at this paragraph. Why wear this fringes? Why are they supposed to wear these fringes? How do you understand this command?
So the third paragraph says it all, right?
Yeah, it's straightforward.
So what about looking at a fringe that's colored in a special color? What about it makes you observe commandments?
Well, because it's laying on your body, and your body is the source of your urges.
It's like putting a red thread around your finger to remember something, right?
A constant reminder. Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's a constant reminder, it should be obligatory, right? You would think. But it's not so simple. If you look at the verses themselves, it does seem obligatory. There's no if or when or only in special moments, right? Only during the day, only during the night, only on Shabbat. No, it seems to be, right? You read it silently to yourselves. Look at the words here. Do you see anything in there that might tell you that it's not obligatory? But what?
I mean, it sounds like it is obligatory because it's God saying it. It's not, Joe Schmo coming up.
And it's also not bound by or restricted to a certain time. It's not restricted to a certain garment. It seemed to be on their garments. All your garments, you should have it.
Yeah.
But look what the rabbis did. The rabbis, and we are rabbinic people. We follow rabbinic oral law. We don't just read what the text says. It's interesting to ask Karaites if they actually understand it differently. But let's review it. Let's learn what the rabbis made out of this. They said, remember the phrase on the corners of your garments? So the rabbi said, from this we learn, only if you have a four-cornered garment. The whole mitzvah is restricted to a situation when the shirt that you're wearing or the blouse is a four-cornered garment. And basically, since today we don't wear four-cornered garments, then it's not obligatory. We don't have to wear tzitzit. And so it undermines the whole mitzvah, basically. The rabbis, they took away its most force. They basically almost made it into a dead letter. And now remember, think about when we wear tallit in our davening, right? It has four corners. So it's specially made so that it can have those fringes, right? The tzitzit itself is the fringe, is those white fringes. The actual cloth, that's just a piece of cloth that has four corners, right? So let's see how the Rambam codified this idea. He said, in the laws of tzitzit, even though one is not obligated to acquire a four-cornered robe and wrap oneself in it in order to fulfill the commandment of tzitzit, it is not fitting for a pious individual to exempt himself from this command. So on one hand, the rabbi said, you don't actually have to do this. You don't have to wear a tzitzit because we don't wear a four-cornered garment. But then they came and they said, well, that would turn it into a dead letter. So we're going to say a pious individual, it's praiseworthy if you do this. Do you see the picture?
Mhm.
Yes.
If you make yourself a four-cornered garment, wear it under your clothes, and then you have to put the fringes on it. So that's how you can be pious. And this is the term tallit katan. It's called tallit katan. So to summarize, if you have such a four-cornered garment, then you must put fringes on it. Now, it doesn't have to look cumbersome like the one we just saw. I'll show you now a new picture that blends into your underclothes. So this is a common tzitzit that boys in yeshiva and or in Orthodox communities wear under their shirt, or sometimes I've even seen it. They play basketball with this. So their tzitzit is flying around as they play. So you can't really see in this picture, but it's actually four corners. It's slit here on both sides. Maybe you can see it. Okay. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to put a tzitzit on it, and saying a blessing would be in vain. It has to have four corners, and this is a interesting contraption that can be worn as an undershirt or t-shirt, and still is required to have those fringes.
Yeah, but the custom in those circles is certainly not to have the fringes as inside, they're outside. It's not like it's just an undergarment that you don't see.
Oh, great question. We're going to get to that. How should it be worn? So now that he's bringing up these fringes here, okay, obviously this is going to go under your collared shirt, right? When you're going to work. But what about these fringes? Should they be inside, tucked in, or outside? And so, Natalie, why were you saying that you think it should be in?
I'm not saying that, but my observation is, and I guess it's more a sociological than a religious observation, is that they're kind of like I'm more pious than you situation.
Great point. So I want to get to that.
Who has the longest tzitzit?
Yeah, but the whole purpose of it is to remind us, and if it's tucked in, you don't see it. How is it reminding you?
Oh, so Gary's saying the pro of wait a minute. The whole purpose is a constant reminder. And if you're just wearing it under your clothes and you're just going about your business during the day, and maybe you're doing some shady things, how is it going to remind you? The only way it reminds you exactly if you see it. If when you're walking and suddenly flies out and and you're seeing it.
I disagree. You can feel it, and you can feel it near the parts of your body that might
I
give
don't know.
you
You usually because I used to wear it as a kid. You kind of forget that you have it on. Sort of.
Okay. I've never worn one, so I take your word for it.
But we're going to get to that more in depth. We'll see different opinions. And I'll bring also the opinion of my father, who followed Alav Shalom, who followed a certain. It's a great debate. Let's call it the great debate. But I don't want to jump the gun. I want to talk about another interesting aspect of this mitzvah, and compare this. Remember, this is called the tallit katan, to the tallis we wear in shul. And what we find is that there are two different blessings. It's very rare to see this kind of thing in Judaism, where you have the same mitzvah, but not completely different, two different blessings. So one blessing is for that undergarment that we just saw, the tzitzit or tallit katan, and one for the one in shul. So let's go to Sefaria and see them, see how it's a slight difference, but it's meaningful. So I want to bring up Sefaria, the siddur. So right, women would not know this because you don't get to wear the undergarment tzitzit. So how would you know this? You're right. So, okay, so I'm bringing up now, I'm sharing with you the morning blessings from the siddur on Sefaria's website. So it says, once you wake up, you should say Mode'ani. Thank God for waking up and giving you back your neshama. Then here's the mitzvah on that undergarment. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddusham mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvah tzitzit. So commanded us concerning the commandment of tzitzit, and then you put on that undergarment. So this is the optional thing, right? This is only if you have a four-cornered one, and most yeshiva kids they have this. And so this is the best thing they say. But then the best thing that's more familiar to us, because we all say it when we wrap ourselves in a tie. So there's no wrapping here. This is on the commandment of tzitzit, right? The verb wrapping does not appear here because you're really not wrapping. You're just putting on a four-cornered garment that has fringes. Now we go forward, and here is the blessing of the tallis. Okay, this is Kabbalistic. I don't say all this stuff. It's right here. Cover your head with a tallis and say, and here's the blessing. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddusham mitzvotav v'tzivanu litatef b'tzitzit, who commanded us to enwrap ourselves with tzitzit. Now I want to show you a video of the Mizrahi way. It's different than what we do. It's so interesting. I just found it very interesting. But I have to share the sound. 1 second. Always good to learn new things about other communities, how they do the same rituals that we do, but slightly different.
Okay. Big black thing. Okay.
We're going to learn how to wrap ourselves with the tallit.
דהיינו, החלק החלק, ללא העטרה. החלק עם העטרה הוא למטה. מחזיקים משני צידי הטלית ומתחילים לקבץ בצורה כזו. עד כאן. ואז מברכים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו להתעטף בציצית.
So, להתעטף, to wrap ourselves with the tzitzit.
את הצד הימני שמים על כתף שמאל. את הצד השמאלי שמים עליו. אחר כך מורידים. Now
he looks like an Arab with a kafiyah. Right? I'm sure that the Arab culture influenced this.
Of course.
I'm pretty sure about that.
ופורסים על הגוף. אחר שפרסנו על הגוף, מחזיקים עם יד שמאל את הפינה הימנית, ועם יד ימין דוחפים לאחור. אותו דבר.
Okay, this already,
לוקחים את יד ימין,
like we do that part.
מחזיקים את הפינה השמאלית,
Once the tallit is
ועם
on our
יד
bodies.
שמאל דוחפים מהאמצע לאחור.
Okay, so I thought that's very interesting. A different way to wear the tallit. But in any case, it's wrapping, right? The idea is you wrap yourself with the tallit. And so how is that different than the undergarment one that you just put on? The blessing was just on the commandment of Tzitzit. So I want to share an idea from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. And his idea is that there are two types of clothing we wear. One type is performative. We attempt to project a role, an image, or we are in a certain role and we need to project an image, and we wear that clothing that will help us project that image. So a judge wears a robe, a police officer wears a uniform, a doctor wears a white robe, leaders wear suits with ties. It's not really who they are. They're concealing themselves in order to project a certain image. So that's type one. Then, says Rabbi Sachs, there's type two. When we are by ourselves, what do we wear? What are we wearing right now? We're at our desk, we're in our home, we're writing something, we're an artist in the studio, we're cooking dinner. That's when we are really
comfortable.
Yeah.
Something that's comfortable.
Exactly. What are we comfortable in?
Yeah.
What do we say? I don't care what society thinks of me. I don't need to project any image. I just want to be me. And this is how I feel comfortable. And this is who I am. And this is what I'm going to wear. And so now he takes this idea of two types of clothing and he says, that's the two types of tallit that we saw. The tallit katan, the tzitzit, the undergarment, and the tallis in shul. So which one is which? What do you think? Before I show you what he says. Which one is the one that we wear to because it's a certain role, and which one is who we are?
Well, it would seem as if the first one is the wrapping, but that must not be right because it's too obvious, right?
No, wait, say again?
No, that's what it is.
The first one is the wrapping one, right?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
If it's right, it's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just seems so obvious.
I tell my students, go with your gut feeling. So, yeah. So so he says it in a nice way. Let's read what he says. Or do we have a volunteer to read?
Okay, for the tallit, when we engage in prayer, we feel the need to come before God as something more than just ourselves. We wrap ourselves in the robe, the tallit, the great symbol of the Jewish people at prayer. We conceal our individuality. And the tzitzit, most inward, intimate part of faith, who we really are. That's why it's a choice. We can be pious about it. Where's the choice? I'm missing.
This is the four-cornered one, the undergarment. Right?
Okay.
So we talked about it, that you don't have to wear it. So
okay, I'm following.
Yeah. So he connects it. He says, when you're wearing that undergarment tzitzit, when you didn't really need to, so you're showing that's really who you are, because you didn't really have to do this. You chose as an extra, as a symbol of you want to be more connected to tradition. Maybe you feel you need it as a reminder during the day to avoid being, what was it called in the Torah, lustful urges, so you feel you need that. So that's who you really are. That's that type of clothing that is.
Where do we get the custom that only married men wear a tallit and shul?
So that's an Ashkenazi custom. You're right. So, interesting question. When did that start? I don't know when that started. It's a good question. I'll look into it. I think the Mizrahi, the Taimani, the Yemenites, I think they, starting from Bar Mitzvah, they all wear tallit, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we have most of us, I think, most Ashkenazi communities start wearing it only when we get married.
Yeah.
Maybe it ties into the next part of our discussion, and this is what you guys already started talking about. So, how should we wear the tzitzit, the tallit katan, the undergarment, with the fringes sticking out or tucked inside? Now, you would think if this is the most intimate inward part of faith, then it should be tucked inside. This is who you really are in terms of yourself, not trying to project a certain image, right? That was the shul talis. Okay, in shul we all wear a talis. We come before God. We are dressed in our Jewish uniform, so to speak. But if you're wearing it because you're a pious individual, why would you have to show the whole world that you're a pious? That's already not being who you are. That's already trying to project an image. So it's kind of now you're going back to the tallit, to the big tallit. Okay, so it's really a machlokes. Here you have a picture of a professor, and he makes a point to show everybody that he's wearing tzitzit. Do you guys see the picture?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but you're covering up where we would see the tzitzit.
No, but you don't see it? Maybe
no, the picture covers it up.
No, I can see it.
Yeah,
Really?
maybe something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I do see it. I'm
So
sorry.
I want your feeling. If you had a professor at university dressed like this with his tzitzit sticking out, what does it make you feel? What are your thoughts about it?
Well, you
You
think
know
that
he's a
he's-
pious Jew. If
Right.
he's letting us know that.
Okay. And what's the problem with that? Or is there a problem?
I think it's much more important what he says rather than what he wears.
Okay, I like that.
Actually, I think what's really the most important is what he does.
Yeah.
Regardless of what he wears.
Right. So all the opinions that we've heard from you guys are found in the halachic deciders, in the poskim. So let's see what they said about it. So some halachic authorities discourage wearing the tzitzit strings visibly over one's clothing in communities where this is not the norm, due to the concern of mechze kiyuhara. So this is Aramaic for it will be seen as arrogance, as showing off. Yuhara, Yahir is, even in modern Hebrew, Yahir, Yahir is someone boastful, arrogant. So, and you add the Aleph because it's Aramaic, so Yuhara. So the poskim are really concerned about this, that you're showing off, basically, and making others, or telling everybody, I'm better than you. And the Mishnah Brura, to quote him, he writes, when he discusses the mitzvah of tzitzit, while it is generally good to wear the tzitzit outward so that one sees them and remembers the mitzvot, as per the Torah's command, this should only be done if it is not perceived as yuhara, religious arrogance. If in a certain city or community men generally do not wear their tzitzit out, then doing so may appear arrogant and should be avoided.
Yeah.
So he's striking a balance, I think. He's saying if everybody in your community does it, then yeah, it wouldn't be considered arrogance. But if you're the only one in university and with your tzitzit hanging out, that might not be really who you are, but you're trying to show off, and that's not okay. Then
is that why at the yeshiva they encourage all the kids to wear the tzitzit out? So there is no arrogance because they're all doing it.
So they're all doing it, right? But then when they go to the baseball game, then they all, at National Stadium, then they don't tuck it back in. So my father, alav shalom, I told you I would speak a little about it. He was very, very concerned about this. It might look like arrogance, and we had that stage I had when I was a kid, because like you said, Gary, I was influenced by my teachers in yeshiva to wear it outwardly, to wear it with outside, and he said, no, you have to tuck it in. It would infuriate him if he saw it sticking out of my clothes, and he forbade us, he prohibited us from from doing it, and because of this, and even when he davened, like in public places, he would find the most concealed corner to daven, let's say mincha or marib, so that all because of this, what is a serious concern among the halachic rabbis, that you are trying to show off, or even if you're not trying, it will be perceived. What's called maris ayin. We have that term in the religion in Judaism, that you don't do certain things because of how they will be perceived. So even if it's just really who you are, you're like, what if you're a gregarious person who just does things no matter what people say or however they look at you, and you see it's time for mincha, right? And you're like standing in the middle of the room of a party and davening mincha, and it's just who you are, even if it's really who you are, and you're not trying to show off or anything, but it might be perceived as trying to show everybody you guys are partying and drinking and I'm here davening. And so to avoid that, you go to a corner and you find an empty room, and that's where you daven. So that was my father's approach.
So Shammai, can I ask a question that's kind of related to this?
Yeah.
Sometimes in shul, there'll be somebody when the whole congregation is saying a particular prayer in unison that say it very loudly, so you can hear their voice above everyone else's. Is that akin to this arrogance?
I don't think it's
or is that just
because nobody would interpret it. I don't think it would be interpreted as I am better than you, I am more religious than you. It's just, I like singing more than you guys or something like that. It's like
I have to go with what Gary is hinting at. I think it can be. It doesn't have to be, but there are folks like that.
Okay. I mean, it's really a concept, right? And how do we apply that concept? We can't exactly delineate how to, when the Mishnah Berurah says, in cities or communities where men generally do not. So what does that mean? Where cities or communities where men, do we look at the whole city, at the neighborhood, at the particular shul? It's something that it can't be exactly defined. But I know where my family, my father, he was on the extreme side of, to avoid any possibility that it will be misinterpreted and to not make ourselves feel that we are better than others because we wore tzitzit in the morning as our undershirt. He insisted that it would be tucked in. I think it even bothered him when he saw people wearing it outwardly. Because there's also the freedom of religion aspect of we want to see. Here's the thing. I compare it to Muslims and the hijab, or I want a society where it's more tolerant. So the more people wear religious items, any religious item, it could be the Sikh a turban, it could be the hijab, it could be a tzitzit. The more they wear it, the more they make our society tolerant. So I think there is actually a positive aspect in, at least in American society, where there's freedom of religion, and you learn about it in school, and they emphasize it. It's in our Constitution. It's in our First Amendment. In that kind of society, I would say, fine. You feel you want to wear it outside. You want to be a proud Jew. Go ahead. But really, it's what you do, because that's really the whole purpose of tzitzit, right? The whole purpose of tzitzit is to remind you to fulfill the commandments. And the main commandments are: don't oppress the stranger, right? Don't do to others. We talked about that, about the last class we had, the essence of Judaism, the Hillel statement: don't do to others what you don't want to be done to yourself, right? So it would be hypocritical if you engage in shady conduct and do things to others that you do not want, and then you wear your tzitzit outside. That's the height of hypocrisy. But if really wearing the tzitzit outwardly helps you get to the essence of Judaism, then I say be my guest. I'm fine with it. Any other thoughts, questions?
Very interesting.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Actually, a quick question, Shammai.
Yeah.
The demonstration that you showed us online of putting on the tallit and, kind of bringing it around you as opposed to just letting it fall straight down. is there some religious significance to wearing it one way or the other, or is it just whatever people are comfortable with?
Yeah, I think it's what you're comfortable with. Yeah, it's just
But
because
again, if you go into particularly, well, in an Orthodox shul, there are always the guys who literally, all you can see is like the lower half of their face, because they're so wrapped in the tallit, and they're making a statement. They are making a statement to everybody.
Yes, Natalie, that's a good point, because I thought of that too when I see that. When that's so true. When I see that, I'm like, this is actually, yeah. What about that idea of a don't show off, don't be arrogant? If everybody's wearing it on the shoulders, why are you wearing it on your head?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
See ya.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
No.